Welcome to Amiga Ireland. It's our September episode. We're just back after a nice long break. I'm Irla.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Luke.
And in today's episode, a do-it-yourself Denise replacement.
Turbo Tomato got released.
The A500 Mini gets announced.
Yeah, and you can find the show notes to this episode in your podcast app or on our website. But before we get started, lads, it's been a long summer. How are you?
Oh, grand. But yeah, busy as usual. Work is hectic at the moment. But I was home a few weeks ago for the first time in a year and a half, which was nice. And I had a little bit of a fanboy moment when, independently of that, I had a little fanboy moment when I went to see one of the heritage railways in Scotland, and parked there was the Tornado steam locomotive. And it's because it's doing a tour of Scotland at the moment, and it was just parked there having a rest. And I was like, oh God, this is an incredible machine. And if you, in a more general retro sense, it's a brand new steam locomotive basically, and it does 100 miles an hour, and it's an awesome machine. And it's the first time I've seen it in the flesh. So I had a surprising fanboy moment there.
Oh my God.
But yeah, delighted with that.
It's
nice.
Wow. So that's brand new.
As in, they built it in the last, only 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Basically, what they did was, this is essentially an extinct engine, and they found the plans for it basically being turfed out of an office, and they decided to build one. So they did. As you do, and it can do 100 mile an hour with a full train. It's an absolute beast, it is.
It looks deadly. That's insane. Those front wheels are class. The front few are massive.
It's an awesome yoke.
They say the only constant is change. It's been a hectic summer here, so I'm hoping that this podcast episode is going to be a return to normality and some Amiga time, because I haven't actually touched an Amiga since, but I've got a great excuse now, because not only has the podcast happened, but as we know, our own Carl Jekyll has released a nice piece of software we'll be talking about later, and I've received in the post a Solus board that we showed on Amiga Ireland 2021 online. So I'm looking forward to setting that up. And if you don't know what a Solus board is, you can visit robthenerd.com or look it up on YouTube, because Rob has a video of it on his channel as well. The Solus board is the sexiest thing you will put in your Amiga. Inside it. Yeah.
Just a word of warning.
Luke, how are you doing?
All those innuendos.
Yeah. What's the word of warning, Rob?
Oh, yeah, a word of warning. I didn't realise this until after it was named, of course, but Googling Solus Amiga gets you not what you might expect. Gets you lonely Spanish women.
Oh dear. Okay, so Solus is the Irish word for light.
Yeah.
Right, but...
Well, there you go.
Oh boy. I see what you mean. Yowza. Okay, close that tab. Delete browser history.
Right. If it comes to me, it's been hectic for me as well. I've just been busy with the retro ready, and been busy with my family life. Currently, we've just started school, and that's been a second day. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I get just a little bit of more of a free time to focus more on the Amiga stuff and the retro stuff in general.
How did her first day or two go? She settling in?
Very well, actually, very, very well. Absolutely, no crying. She's been very brave and courageous, and I'm really absolutely very, very proud of her.
Ah, the little sweetheart. Good on her.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm delighted to hear that. Delighted. All right, well, we're lucky today because we've got two amazing Greeks joining us. You'll probably know them already if you've been to any of our 3D workshops at Amiga Ireland, or if you've been following the excellent online Lightwave 3D series that's on Twitch, and it's archived on YouTube. We've got Muad'Dib 3D himself with us today. Muad'Dib, how are you doing?
Hi. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Thanks for joining us. It's we appreciate it. Yeah, and we've also today got with us, of course, we all know AmiBerry. We've got AmiBerry's lead developer here with us, Midwan. You're welcome.
Hello, nice to hear you. And thank you for having us.
thanks to both of you for your help with the event as well the last time, with the the workshops and running the mod competition and stuff like that. It was a great help.
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure, and actually these things have to be shared,
I appreciate it. Yeah. Have you, Modib, have you had much Amiga time over the summer until now?
Only in emulation. I mean, during the summer I have my laptop with me, and it of course has UAE inside, so installed. So the most of my time it was kind of leisure time. So aside from Lightwave, I was playing Railroad Tycoon all the time. So yeah, I wanted to mention to mention that I would really love to have this locomotive you mentioned, Railroad Tycoon. It would be great.
How about you, Midone? Have you did you take a break from programming over the summer, or have you been still working away?
Well, AmiBerry version 4 was released back in April, and it included a crazy amount of improvements and work being done coming from version 3.3. And it was followed by a few updates, mostly bug fixes. And after that, I took a break from April until June to avoid burning out, because I needed a break from working on that thing constantly, day in and day out. And since then, I've slowly started coming back into it and released a minor update just a couple of months ago, and working on a next release right now, which would be version 4.15, and at the same time working on a new major release, which would be version 4.2 at the moment, which includes many more new features, including some surprise ones.
Okay, nice. Well, we're going to move on to our news section, and maybe you can even tell us, go into a bit more detail and tell us what we can expect, unless, of course, there's surprises. But here we go. It's on to the news section. Okay, well, the first news item is that a M68KS, the Motorola Classic Amiga chip, a plugin has been developed for some programming environments, and these are the IntelliJ, and there are two IDEs that programmers use to create code and build stuff. So if you're a coder and this is your application of choice, you'll be happy to hear about this, and as will anybody who would like you to code stuff for the Amiga a bit more. The interesting thing about this is that two separate developers actually started doing the same job at the same time, but they were unaware of each other's work. So as a result, now you have two different options to choose from, and that's even better, I suppose.
If you're familiar with the ZZ9000 graphics card that was released there a little while ago for Zorro Amigas, MNT Research and Lucas Hartman, I think is his name, has started development of an audio card expansion for that. So this will fit onto the graphics card and give you 16-bit audio, and it also has a DSP on it for doing audio effects, and it has it's not there yet, but the potential for using the ARM coprocessor on the ZZ9000 for decoding compressed audio. So for decoding your MP3s or whatever else. So this is early stages yet, but it's looking very promising for, because there's been a bit of demand for a decent audio solution, because there hasn't been a new sound card in a good while. So that's looking great.
Right, the Hippo player gets another update. A lot of bug fixes and also improved stability. Hippo player is a brilliant module player. It's one of my favorite ones. I'm sure, guys, you have been using it as well. I think it had not been developed or upgraded for nearly like 20 years, and all of a sudden the developer wakes up from a window sleep and provides us with the new version, which is really, really great.
I actually use Hippo Player myself all the time. I love it, so I'm excited to see what this is going to be.
Same as me.
Right, well, There's a new open source project that's out up on GitHub that allows you to build your own hardware, and this will allow you to replace your Denise chip if you should want to. Now, Denise is the chip involved with handling graphics on many of the Amiga models, and this project lets you make your own replacement, but you need to be good with hardware and software to build it. Now, it is very easy to install once you get to that stage, so who knows, maybe somebody will fill in that need. So anyone who wants to can just order one. So far, it's supporting most of the OCS features. It's by no means complete, but you can see the list of features for yourself of what's implemented before you decide if you want to get involved or not. So that's very interesting. And we've got the link, of course, like everything else, we've the links here.
Our own friend Carl Jekyll has released a Gemini browser for the Amiga, so that's up on Aminet. And if you're unfamiliar with it, Gemini is sort of it's a lightweight alternative to a HTML, HTTP kind of full strength web browsing, and it's nice because it's predominantly just the text. And it means you don't really need a massively powerful machine or graphics cards or anything like that. It should run on pretty much anything. And it's like I know it's only a first release, but it looks very good at this point. And it'd be very useful. And as the sort of the Gemini kind of pages start to expand, and it'd be lovely to see some Amiga pages like that accessible through it. And it would definitely something to look at.
Gemini is a cool little protocol. I don't know if we mentioned it before or not, but basically, like on iBrowse, you can access the Gopher web, which is totally separate to the internet, like as we know it. And Gemini is a new one that's kind of got some nice new features, and it is fun. You can get little clients for your mobile phone and all kinds of things. So it's absolutely brilliant that you'll be able to. I was really really hoping something like this would materialize. So I was really put a big smile on my face to see this when I started looking things up at the end of August again.
Then we've got something like a little bit of a console. But this console is called the A500 Mini, after a series of different consoles like SNES Mini, NES Mini, C64 Mini, as far as I remember. I think there was even a PlayStation Mini. It's time for the Amiga 500 Mini. The game, the console is actually been announced to premiere on the 31st of March 2022. It looks like a really tiny A500 Mini, and apart from the computer itself, or the console itself actually, there is supposed to be added a mouse with a USB plug, and then the gamepad as well, and the HDMI cable. Also, there are supposed to be 25 inbuilt games with the ability to save state in every moment. But for this moment, there are 12 titles that have been announced. For example, Alien Breed 3D, Another World, All-Terrain Racing, Battle Chess, Cadware, Kickoff 2, Pinball Dreams, Simon the Sorcerer, Chaos Engine, Worms, Zool. So, looks and sounds pretty alright. The price for that console is around like 120, 130 pounds. So we'll see how it goes. It looks pretty promising.
Oh, and actually, while I think of it, a hi to Stormkeeper, who also pinged me to mention this. They've picked some good games actually there.
They've picked really good games actually, to be honest.
Yeah, because I remember getting a joystick with Commodore 64 games on them, and they were kind of like the worst Commodore 64 games included on the, they were built into the joystick and you connected it straight to your screen, but they're good. Yeah, that's a good selection.
Right. So it seems that we've got yet another generation of vampire cards announced as well. So that's our another news item. It seems that the old cards, like the one of the first ones, the Vampire 600 and Vampire 500, are being sort of retired. And in those places, there seems to be a new generation of accelerators that will be called Firebird as well. They will be at first for Amiga 500, Amiga 1000, Amiga 2000, and the other one is Ice Drake. And this one is supposed to be for Amiga 1200. The FPGA is going to be a bit bigger. I think at least twice as big as the previous ones. 16-bit sound, and then 512 megabytes of RAM, and other functions like, for example, native RTG. For Amiga, so we'll see how it goes again with those. This is just an announcement, but we'll see how it goes. If there's progress, we might get additional hardware, which might stimulate the markets, maybe hopefully stimulate the developers as well.
That's interesting. Right, next up we have our typical monthly magazine section, but this time there's a new magazine. Is that right, Luke?
Yes, I think there is a new one. I don't know whether you remember it from the past. There's a magazine called... there used to be a magazine called Zap. They started as a C64 magazine only, and then they've moved on. They've moved on to, as far as I remember, to something called Zap Amiga, and then they returned to writing for C64 only. But this time, I think a new magazine gets released, and it's called just Zap Amiga, and the issue is released for September and for the October.
It looks like it's about €2.50, I think, on Patreon per issue. I'm not sure if I have that right.
Was it?
Oh, very, very interesting. Right. God, we're spoiled for choice. Absolutely spoiled for choice. Guys, we have, as I said, with us Muad'Dib 3D, as he's known, and Midwan. And are you able to tell us a bit more about what you're working on for the next release of AmiBerry, or, as you said, do you want to keep it as a surprise?
Yes, well, I actually took some time off, sort of a pause, in order to recharge my batteries and avoid any burnout. And when I came back, I resumed work on AmiBerry, and there have been a lot of things happening in AmiBerry, and a lot of features have been integrated into the next version that is coming out, and it's currently on release candidate 5. And it will soon be released as a new stable release. One of the interesting new features that I'm sure people will be excited about is support for the Drawbridge project. It allows you to connect a USB floppy drive and use your real Amiga floppies with the emulator, even boot from them, read, write to them. This was made possible by Rob Smith's project. That's where the Drawbridge project comes from. And it's basically a floppy drive with an Arduino controller behind it, with a custom firmware as well. Other than that, there is also support for the Kickstart 3.2 ROMs natively that's included. And there's a lot of more bug fixes. We are currently at the stage of polishing and fixing any last-minute bugs that may still be there before the release. And in parallel with that, there's a lot of work going on in the next version of AmiBerry that will be out much later, or hopefully not that much later. Version 4.2, which is currently in development, is merging updates from WinUAE directly. So there is a lot of work being done there, mostly by Tony from WinUAE, but I merge anything that comes up directly into AmiBerry. It's currently a bit slower at the moment because some of the optimizations there have been removed, but it will hopefully become much faster when we're done with it.
So, Muad'Dib, have you any news yourself in regard to Amiga?
Yeah, it's kind of sad news. but it won't last. Which is this year what we won't be having. I won't be webcasting tutorials. So because I have to get some time for my family, and I already work. It's one and a half jobs, so yeah, it won't work this year. However, there will be some. The upside from that is that there will be some projects with people that have been following the webcast through amigausers.com. Projects meaning we might gather around and make some. Small, short 3D films and etc., or collaborating in any other way. Aside from that, I will try to stay. I'll try to be somewhat absent to get some time for my family. I will be, of course, be present for answering emails or comments or whatever. And I also have to, since I haven't. Announce that to my patrons. I have to say here that no one will be charged, and of course it's totally understandable if anyone would like to hop out.
Okay.
So yeah, that is the major news.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you're looking after the things you need to. I totally get it. The situation. Yeah, the projects sound interesting though. So there's going to be some kind of 3D work produced, is there, or at least attempted? Exactly.
The thought behind that is that we have to, after learning some things, and if any of us would like to cooperate with other people, to learn and find a way how we do that. Say how do we go from point A to point B being producing a short film or longer film or whatever, just by finding common grounds, and just like the industry does in producing films, something. So you have to do compromises, you have to coordinate with each other, and it's a hard thing to do between people because we're not optimized to do that, but it's also a great rewarding process through learning, through cooperating with each other.
Cool. Okay, well, that sounds really interesting. Yeah, so it's a collaboration.
And there is, if you go to the amigausers.com forums, you will find a project sub thread that is empty for the time being. So that I'll do my best, find whatever time I have to start populating with gathering people and doing some stuff through this.
So guys, that's the end of our news section for today, and we're going to move on to the games. Man has been released for sale. This is a sweet single-screen platform game for one player with pleasant graphics and a very familiar feel to it. Development started at the beginning of 2021, or at least that's when it was announced, and the results look really good. So yeah, you can check that out at the website. Yeah, and you can get that now at itch.io/Inca-man.
Next up, Turbo Tomato by our very own John Gervin has been released, and that's available as a download and also as a boxed copy. So it's all in the fancy full big box kind of setup there. Looks the business, and it's a great fun game to play. And apparently it is Bitmapsoft's best-selling Amiga game so far. So they've started a while ago, and they've released a few different big box Amiga games. So there you go. This is great news for Nivrig there.
Incredible! It is great fun, and my copy is on the way in the post. Can't wait.
Right. I'm sure you remember a game from I think it was 1990 or 1991 by Gremlin Graphics. It's called the Supercars 2. This version of game, it's a top-down racer. This version of game gets an enhanced version for AGA, and it's just been released. The game itself looks really nice, and the playability is very high. I remember playing it first on my C64, and then seeing it on Amiga. That was a massive difference. This time we get, like a even better version. This time for AGA.
And by the way, apologies. I don't know if you can hear, but there's must be about 100 crows in the background. They're distracting me, so if it's coming through in the microphone, apologies. Anybody listening? I'll sort out some better sound protection next time, and I hope nobody's getting murdered out there. Because the only time I've seen that many crows is in a horror movie or a Stephen King book. Right, next, Amiga Game Jam 2021. While we were away on holidays, what the hell does that say? Right. While we were away on holidays, the 2021 Amiga Game Jam launched. They've already been... they have already... What the hell did I write there? Jesus, it doesn't make any sense. That is not even English.
Say what?
Oh my god, okay. I can't even make sense of my own notes here. Right, well, while we were away on holidays, Amiga Game Jam 2021 launched, and they have already been accepting game submissions, but you still have time. I think 4 months left roughly to submit your own if you haven't. There are some really nice entries actually there, and well worth taking a look. I've seen Green Beret, I think, posted somewhere online, which I think is to some degree being refreshed for the Amiga using the Scorpion engine, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. So you can, if you're a developer, you can check out their website, or the Amiga Game Jam, which is also an itch, or if you're a consumer, you can just follow along and see what you think.
There's been a sort of a Doom clone floating around for a little while, and this kind of seems to have arisen from a challenge where people were wondering whether it was even possible to do anything even close to Doom on a stock Amiga 500, and this seems to have been taken up as a challenge, and we have a demo of the results of this now. So it's still early days, I suppose, but there has been a demo released of Dread, it's called, and this is spectacular. Just in how, as a technical accomplishment, it's not Doom. It won't be, but it's very close considering the hardware it runs on. It basically runs on a stock A500, and how they got it to do this, I don't know. But very impressive, and you can download a demo of it, and as a disk image, and give it a go on your stock A500, and it's surprisingly smooth. It's very, very good.
Briley Witch Chronicles is a eagerly awaited C64 RPG game from Sarah Jane Ivory. And this time, the developer is very, very close to release, so she gets the new trailer published all around the internet, and the game is absolutely beautiful. If you like RPG games, I don't think there are that many of those games on C64, so if you like those games, please have a look, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed with that. There's another game that's been actually ported, and it's called Green Beret. I remember, playing it on my C64. I've seen the version for Spectrum. I think there's even a version for Atari XEXL, if I remember it correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that is a very, very, very good game. And just like Irla mentioned earlier, it's just got ported to Amiga using the Scorpion engine, and it looks really, really well. Another platformer, this time a fabulous platformer called Sydney Hunter and the Sacred Tribe. I think we mentioned that game in our podcast. And this is another enhanced version, multicolored, because the game has been released in a high graphics mode of C64. But Hokuto Force, the guys from Hokuto Force, made an enhanced version which looks really, really nice and very, very colorful. So if you like platformers in the style of Indiana Jones, why not have a look?
Right, well, that's the end of our gaming section for this month. Let's move on to discoveries. Right, well, my discovery is that Italy has its own printed Amiga magazine called Amiga Passione. And it's funny, we were just on the subject of Amiga magazines earlier. And not only do they have a magazine, but they are having an event. They're running a free Amiga event on September the 19th. Now the print magazine looks excellent. The one I'm looking at, the cover issue, has Alistair Brimble on the cover, who they interview. And as for the event itself, it takes place in Spoleto. Spoleto, and you can get the rest of the details on passioneamiga.it. The last discovery for this month is Ascii Composer for Amiga, which is available on Aminet, and this is an Ascii drawing tool. Now, unfortunately, I did plan to play around with this for another project related to Ascii that I was involved with earlier, but I just didn't get the time. So all I can tell you is that it exists. It runs on the Amiga, 68K Amiga. It will allow you to create up to 2 pages with 76 characters width and 26 characters height. Yeah, I should hopefully have tried this out by the next podcast. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, you might want to take a look yourself. And it'll run on any 2 meg Amiga, basically, is the promise they make here. Right, now it's time for our eyebrows section. In our eyebrow section, we look at websites that are a pleasure to use, even on classic Amigas. And first up this month is uglyduck.ca, and of course you can visit these on any machine you like. You can take a look at this on your mobile phone if you want to check it out. So Ugly Duck, this entire website is less than a megabyte in size. The whole thing loads in a single HTML file, so all the separate pages that you see, anything like that, actually is all happening within one file. So once the site is loaded, no matter what you want to click on to visit, it's actually already loaded. So the pages come instantly then in eyebrows. That's the way it seems to the user. The author has set the website to not load images as well, unless clicked on by the user, which contributes to the speed. So basically the page pops up and the names of the images, like those accessibility tags that we have already in HTML, they're visible, and you can click on whichever images you feel you want to expand and see, and then they'll load. The site itself is about a lot of things. The author created Page Roast, which analyzes your landing page with actionable items to improve conversion, to get people to interact more. PH Petite is another project featured here as well as how to make a mini interactive keyboard with purely CSS. That's the kind of stuff there you can look at. So it's not actually Amiga-based projects or anything like that, but it's a website you can easily check out on your Amiga, and it's quite interesting, as you can tell. It's a bit of a setback that you can't see the CSS in action, of course, but I think anyone familiar with CSS already, that might not be a bad thing, and I think there's plenty provided there for anybody with an Amiga anyway. We'd be quite happy. Another eyebrows-friendly website is called madeyoulook.lol. It loads in about 15 seconds the first time, and it'll load in about 3 seconds every time after that. But I'm going to leave the contents of this one as a surprise. That's madeyoulook.lol. And that's the end of our eyebrows section. We're going to skip Ask Amiga this time. Like I said, we're just back from our holidays. We're a little unprepared. It's a little bit chaotic. Our notes are a bit messy. So this episode is a bit of a flying by the seat of your whatever you want to call them. So until next time, thanks to our guests, Modib and Midwan, for joining us. We appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us, Yola. And
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Lucas.
So until next time.
Music was by Virtual Dimensions, Banjo Gaioli, XTD, and Extend, actually, and Dippy.
Feel free to get in touch at info@amigausers.ie.
And the song of the month this time is True Sadness by Byron Schmidt, which came 5th place at the Amiga Ireland Mods Competition 2021. Until next time, bye-bye.
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 Oh my god.
It's just one of those days, isn't it?